Hey, we'll see you May 11th in Denver, Colorado. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So Rebecca Weiner, head of the NYPD's Counterterrorism Bureau, identifies one of the threats that supposedly necessitates the Columbia raid. So you saw how all the cops went in there like it was a mainstreaming of rhetoric. So mainstreaming of rhetoric associated with terrorism.
By who? Who is associated with terrorism? You?
So Michael Tracy says, no question, this is recasting political speech as terrorism.
Yeah, no shit.
Here we go. Here she is. She's gonna political speech is now. So that told you that all they have to do is say you're a terrorist because Barack Obama signed that law that repealed habeas corpus, and they can throw you in jail without a charge indefinitely. It's called indefinite detention.
Rebecca, Weiner.
All they have to do is say that you're a terrorist, and you can be, now you're a political terrorist because you're using terrorist speech. They can say if you protest a pipeline, you're considered an eco-terrorist. If you put misinformation on Twitter, or Facebook or Instagram, you can be considered a cyber terrorist. All they have to do is say you're a terrorist now, and they can throw you in jail.
Like the movie Brazil.
I didn't see that movie.
Oh.
Here we are.
This is not about students expressing ideas. It is about a change in tactics that presents a concern and a normalization and mainstreaming of rhetoric. And I'm not just talking.
So that's exactly what ideas are. Ideas are expressed in rhetoric, meaning words. So she's saying this isn't about the censoring speech. Well, let's listen to what she said.
This is not about students expressing ideas.
That's exactly what this is about. And she's gonna.
Is that what rhetoric does?
She's gonna betray it right now. She's gonna tell you.
It is about a change in tactics that presents a concern and a normalization and mainstreaming of rhetoric and
words.
What change in tactics? It looks like the same tactics I've seen my whole life of protesting. This is where they go sit in the fucking thing with signs.
They've always done.
What change in tactics are you talking about?
Well, here's what she's going to say.
Just talking about language. I'm now talking about tactics. And that's what shifted our response yesterday.
Which tactics?
But a normalization and mainstreaming of rhetoric associated with terrorism that has now become pretty.
So she's talking about language. She goes, this isn't about language. This is about rhetoric. That's what rhetoric is. Rhetoric is language.
Common on college campuses, right? You see people wearing headbands associated with foreign terrorist organizations. This happened in October when you had a viral TikTok reissuing of Osama bin Laden's 2002 letter to America. So
can I not read that?
You can't read that. That's illegal now. So anything they don't like is now terrorism. They don't like if you have an idea that they don't like. Is now terrorism.
Did you associate
Are there really people who consider themselves right-wing conservatives who are on board with them making it illegal to express ideas? The whole point of freedom of speech is that you don't want to defend the speech that you agree with because that doesn't need defending. You need defending of the speech that you find outrageous, the speech that pisses you off, the speech that offends you. That's the speech that needs protecting. Nobody needs speech that everybody agrees. Nobody needs defending of speech everyone agrees with.
I have heard.
And so now, and remember when they said your speech on January 6th, that was terrorism. Now they're saying the same thing about these people. So you have to stand up. So if you consider yourself a right-wing conservative who cares about freedom and liberty, you have to stand up for these people who you might hate. You might hate these protesters. You might think they're all communists and Marxists, although you say the people they're protesting are communists and Marxists, which is the administration of these Ivy League schools. But you have to stand up for everybody's freedom of speech, especially when it offends you, especially when you don't agree with it. Otherwise, you have no right to demand it when it's your turn. So
but they're using rhetoric and wearing headbands.
They're wearing headbands. You can't wear headbands, and you can't have TikTok videos. This is what associate
my balls with your mouth.
This is what an authoritarian Nazi looks like. You want to see what they look like? This is called the banality of evil. That's what they look like. They look like nice little white women.
It's a larger concern. It's separate from what happened yesterday, but they're related. We do not want ideas. We do not want campuses, which are where people are.
She just said ideas. She just said it. First, she said this isn't about ideas. She couldn't help herself because that's what this is about. We don't want ideas. That's exact. So this is
we don't want you thinking on the college campuses.
We can't have wrong think. That's called wrong think, right out of Orwell.
So you know why this is, right?
And so now again, if you consider yourself a right-wing conservative, this should drive you crazy because it will be used against you. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, the whole Ivy League system has to go. It has to go. It's always been a corrupt piece of shit for the master class to control you. That's what this bickering and this hungry hippos fucking game for the marbles is, because they know that's, so you're Ben Shapiro's who went to Harvard and they know the levers of power. All these little fucking creeps and dilettantes are scrambling for the levers of power.
Yeah.
And they pass little shitty rule. So how about this? Cut the Ivy League out of everything. I'm not impressed. I have to say, I'm not really impressed with any of them. When was the last time you're like, oh, that Harvard guy blew me away? I mean, with his great ideas.
The Ivy League does wonders for comedy. Look at Conan O'Brien.
People that drop out. Jaldo is a Harvard law guy.
Okay, here we go.
Dropped out.
Supposed to be learning and being in a conducive environment for all of the things that we do in schools, being turned into places where people are committing vandalism, property damage, and committing crimes.
That's already illegal.
What? You just said BLM was cool.
By the way, if people are doing that, those are already crimes. If people are committing vandalism and property crimes, those are already crimes. That's not what this is about.
These are rhetorics, but they did property rhetoric.
She says, I'm not talking about language, I'm talking about tactics now, and that's what shifted our response. She then goes on to list language, speech as her examples, the wearing of clothes, and a TikTok video.
Oh, okay, wait, this is what all this bullshit, is it okay to call for genocide? At no point did I hear anyone call for that.
No.
Okay, what I heard was, you interpret something how you wanted and then tell me, like you're a fucking mind reader, like we're dating. Yeah, I don't want to hear what I think. I'll tell you what I think, bitch.
So, and you want to know who she really is? Oh. She also happens to be an adjunct professor at Columbia, where she imparts her wisdom in the extremely credible and legitimate fields of terrorism and international security studies. Her entire distinguished career, no doubt, led up to this defining treacherous moment. So she is adjunct associate professor of international and public affairs, Rebecca Weiner. Also, she's an NYPD official, Rebecca Weiner, who cited outside agitators as the reason for the NYPD raids, but offered no transparency, is a Columbia adjunct. The unit she leads came under fire. Guess what? The unit she leads in NYPD came under fire in 2010 for what? For spying on Muslims in New York.
Oh, I know Claire Danes from that spy show? Just like one of them kind of chicks?
This person says, I know that they did that because I sued the unit for spying on me. That's Assad from New York City. Rebecca Weiner is a Columbia professor who spied on students and demonized them as terrorists in her dual role as NYPD counter-terror and intel deputy chief. Her NYPD division has spied on Muslim students outside New York City and has an office in Tel Aviv.
So she's a spy. That's great.
Columbia is completely compromised.
Yeah,
that's from Max Blumenthal.
As are all the fucking Ivy League schools.
Hofstra hired a safety director named Geraldine Hart, who trained with the IDF via the ADL. How many more of these are there? You want to see? See firsthand accounts from past U.S. law enforcement participants in ADL's leadership seminar. Suffolk's top cop, Geraldine Hart, learns counterterrorism tactics in Israel. Chief returns from studying counterterrorism in Israel. Hofstra using education to fight anti-Semitism. Hofstra using education to fight anti-Semitism. Public safety director Geraldine Hart told The Advocate. So these colleges. Here's Mike Johnson. Here's what he says.
What's happened at the campus, the escalation, the violence, the necessity of the NYPD coming in to break it all up, never had to happen. We need administrators to step up, university officials to step up and do their job. The most basic function that they have is the safety and security of their students.
Too far at this point for the FBI to look into this, or not necessarily?
No, I wouldn't say. I think the FBI needs to be all over this. I think they need to look at the root causes and find out if some of this was funded by, I don't know, George Soros or overseas entities. There's a sort of a common theme and a common strategy that seems to be pursued on many of these campuses.
So that guy who's funded by Israel and AIPAC AIPAC wants the FBI to investigate college students for protesting Israel and AIPAC.
Wait, so you know what this is?
So that's what he's calling for the FBI. That's your Mr. Freedom, Mr. Liberty, Mr. Right-wing conservative, America First wants the FBI to investigate American citizens at the behest of a foreign country.
Wait,
who he's being funded by.
Who said he was good? I've never heard anybody be like, that guy is Mr. America First.
Go ahead. What
the covenant marriage guy?
What
so he, this is a faction thing between the WEF people versus the AIPAC people. And they were kind of a little bit trying to be friends, but they're not. Soros is against Israel. So your two sides of this, of what's really going on, is the billionaires on the WEF side are fighting the AIPAC side.
Yeah.
So Trump's... So, by the way, this is all under the same fucking whatever evil-ass fucking shadow government runs it, but the two factions get to fight it out for supremacy. So I think there's going to be a big swing towards the right now. It's still going to be the same Mike Johnson bullshit kind of fucking, the blob runs everything. But right now they're like, you know what? Fake left, you had your chance. I think we're going to the fake right.
That's right.
Yep. Slavery.
Okay, so welcome to America. Again, if you care about freedom of speech, you have to stand, and you're a right-wing conservative, you have to stand up for these college students' right to freedom of speech and protest.
But it seems orchestrated.
Otherwise, you can't demand it when you want it, like on January 6th.
Hey, it seems orchestrated. Do you mean like all protests? Like all protests are orchestrated? What are you talking about? It seems like someone else wants this. Yeah, asshole. All protests have that.
Oh, that's right. They have leaders. They have It's called organizing. Hey, come see us do a live show. We're going to be in Denver, Colorado, May 11th. Los Angeles, California, doing a live panel show with a celebrity panel and video. Ashland, Virginia, Athens, Georgia, Rutherford, New Jersey, with Max Blumenthal. Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ontario, California, Irvine, California, Chicago, Illinois, with another celebrity panel, live video show in Chicago, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. jimmydore.com. for a link for tickets.